of Thrones cutter, yearning ginger Targaryen fanboy over there, Jon Connington, and boy, is he not one of the most tragic characters in the entire book series. Jon Connington is a character that is so tragic because he's just marked by failure. His entire life has been one failure after another, which has led to him being haunted by these failures for the entirety of his life, and which I think will unfortunately lead to him making some very messy decisions in the future to try to correct those, only to, result in more failure. Yay, Jon Con, we love you! So to understand Jon Connington, we need to go back to the beginning of his life, or his early years, I should say, which were spent in King's Landing as one of Rhaegar Targaryen's friends. Now, I should stipulate that in Jon Connington's point of view, they were very close friends, as close as friends could be, because Jon Connington was very much in love with Rhaegar Targaryen, quite literally, always referring to him as his Silver Prince in his memories. But I do think it's important to note that other characters don't seem to have considered Rhaegar to have been the friend type. For example, Sir Barristan Selmy, when Dany is asking about her brother Rhaegar and, what was he like, he did note that Rhaegar was kind of like a solitary figure. He didn't have a lot of people that he was super, super close to. He had, some, lords, and he does mention Jon Connington, that were, around, and he had his oldest friend, which was Arthur Dayne, but there was always something about Rhaegar that was, being held back a little bit. Not Jon Con, though. Jon Con is fully convinced that him and Rhaegar were as close as can be, which is why he is so sad all the time, because he longs for his Silver Prince that he failed. Jon Con is that guy who's very much in the corner of the club when Robin's Dancing on My Own is playing, and he's literally just feeling himself dancing on his own, and just letting the tears fall as prettily as he can. It's a lot. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, basically, Jon Con thinks they were close. Jon Con was very much in love with Rhaegar. Rhaegar obviously doesn't seem to have reciprocated those feelings. He would eventually marry Elia Martell, Elia of Dorne, and they would have a few children before Rhaegar would, do the whole kidnapping of Lyanna Stark, and then that was a whole different thing. But again, neither of those marriages, kidnappings involve Jon Connington, because he didn't like you that way. I'm so sorry. Not that Jon Con seems to realize or care, though, because Jon Con is devoted. He is devoted to that straight boy that does not give a shit about him, and girl, I get it, but whatever, you do you. So Jon Con, in the aftermath of being basically ignored not once but twice by Rhaegar in favor of other women, he's still gonna remain, though, a Targaryen loyalist. That is him at his core. He is Lord Jon Connington. He is a lord of the realm. The Conningtons, they rule a little castle called Rook's Rest. Wait, is it Rook's Rest? No, Griffin's Roost. Rook's Rest is the one where Rhaenys Targaryen. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Anyway, they have Griffin's Roost. They are, I believe, from the Stormlands, and they are very much a toe in the lines for the Targaryens. So now, with Robert's Rebellion in full swing, Rhaegar has disappeared with Lyanna. We don't know where he is. Aerys, the Mad King, starts going through hands of the king very quickly, because none of them are doing a good job, and he's getting real pissy at all of them. And so, because he sees that Robert Baratheon is this, young, strong lord who's bringing, all this, verve and energy, he's like, that's what I need in a hand. I need, a young, strong hand who's gonna, match Robert Baratheon's energy. And so he looks around the court and goes, Jon Connington, you're one of Rhaegar's friends. You're young, you're strapping. Why don't you get up here and you get to be in charge as Hand of the King? And Jon Con's like, what? I get to do things for the Targaryens? I get to show Rhaegar how good I am at war? Are you kidding me? Yeah, absolutely I can do that. And so Aerys entrusts him to basically finish the war. He's like, you're young, I want you to put an end to this. So go take care of Robert Baratheon and be done with it all. So Jon Con's like, absolutely. He takes the Targaryen army and he chases Robert Baratheon down into the Riverlands, into a town called the Stony Sept. But unfortunately for Jon Con, it doesn't go super well, because the town is trying to protect Robert Baratheon. So they are smuggling him from house to house as his army is tearing the place apart trying to find them. And the town is able to delay the army finding Robert long enough that Ned Stark, with reinforcements from the Tullys in the Riverlands, are able to arrive in time to actually do a legit battle. And so this battle would become known as the Battle of the Bells, because as the Stony Sept was like under attack and all the armies were converging, they just started like ringing the bells nonstop for hours and hours and hours, basically, you know, telling and warning anyone who like isn't part of the army to like, hey, hide or like stay away or whatever. But for all the men fighting, it just like added to this cacophony, this like noise that wouldn't end as they're trying to, you know, like do battle. Now, Jon Connington, he didn't finish off Robert as he would promise. He tries to. Robert nearly kills him. He is able to take out like a couple people. He injures House Targaryen. I think he takes out, I think it's Dennis Aaron, who was Jon Arryn's like heir, and it's a whole thing. But he loses. So after losing, he goes back to King's Landing, you know, tail between his legs, and Aerys Targaryen is like, yeah, you suck. Why did you lose, you stupid? And so he strips him of all of his titles, all of his lands, all of his money, and throws Jon Connington into exile. So Jon Connington never gets to see his Silver Prince again. He never sees Aerys again. He just bebops off to Essos, where he joins the Golden Company. The Golden Company was originally founded by the Blackfyres. The Blackfyres were a cadet branch of House Targaryen that kind of rebelled and were originally led, the Golden Company was originally led by Bittersteel or Aegor Rivers, another bastard child of Aegon IV Targaryen. But they're like a very well-esteemed sellsword company, so Jon Con joins them and quickly, you know, like climbs the ranks to become second in command to a knight named Sir Miles Toyne. And it's first there, like, in this, like, new locale, like, years after King's Landing has fallen, the Targaryens have been, like, killed, Rhaegar is gone, that you can really see that Jon Connington is haunted by his failures. He's haunted by the fact that he didn't defeat Robert Baratheon in the Stony Sept. And he specifically thinks that it is because he didn't do that that the Targaryens end up losing. Because in his mind, he says, you know, if I had just defeated Robert at the Stony Sept, if I just ended him there, he would have never gone on to the Triton to actually fight Rhaegar, where he would defeat Rhaegar, and then his armies would never have taken King's Landing, where they would have then, you know, taken out Aerys the Mad King, and then eventually, you know, chased the remaining, like, Targaryen children in like Viserys and Dany like across to Essos. So he holds like the fall of House Targaryen on his back. He thinks that he is the guy who ruined it all. And what is the symbol of that failure? The Battle of the Bells, that battle that he fully lost. And so he is haunted by the sound of bells constantly in his dreams. If he hears them, he gets like triggered by it because he's so like reminded of like everything that he lost and how he thinks it's his fault. Something interesting to note, though, is at one point back in the day when he's maybe like still trying to like justify some of his choices to himself, he confides in Sir Miles Toyne, the head of the Golden Company, like that, you know, I don't think that there's anything else I could have done at the Battle of the Bells to, you know, change it, and to like fight the people of the Stony Sept, so that we could have like gotten Robert Baratheon quicker. And then he specifies, he's like, not even like Tywin Lannister, like the greatest hand of the king ever, blah, 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 could have done it himself. Again, Jon Con just trying to make himself feel a little better. But it's at that point that Sir Miles Toyne looks at him and says, no, Tywin wouldn't have done what you did. Tywin wouldn't have been like, you know, ripping the place apart brick by brick looking for Robert Baratheon. He would have burned the whole place to the ground with him still in it. And I'd be willing to bet that that is the moment that Jon Con stopped trying to, like, kind of apologize for his actions, to try to like think of a way like that it wasn't his fault. He fully accepted like, oh, this was my failure because I was not ruthless enough, because I didn't act with the amount of violence that was necessary to end this, so it really is my fault. But hey, there's a silver lining for Jon Con. He has a chance to redeem himself. How? Well, let me tell you, Varys and Illyrio, can you believe it, got one of Rhaegar's children out of King's Landing. Yup, no, it might seem hard to believe, but it's not, it's absolutely true. So Varys was able to swap out a young Aegon Targaryen, Rhaegar's son, with another baby, just another rando baby, and so when the kids were, you know, smashed by the mountain, it was a fake baby that was smashed. I mean, it was a real baby, but it was a fake Targaryen baby, you get what I'm saying? And then the real Targaryen baby was taken across the sea where Illyrio Mopatis has been keeping him, not because, you know, like he might be secretly his, because Illyrio Mopatis has this blonde wife that looks like a Blackfire or a Targaryen, and maybe anyway. What? Sorry, no. So, this baby is Aegon Targaryen, and we want you, Jon Connington, good friend, roommate of Rhaegar Targaryen, to raise his son for him in secret until we can put him back on the Iron Throne. And Jon Con is like, I get to raise Rhaegar's son? Yes, I can do that. Yep, that's totally your best friend's son, and there's probably not going to be anything wrong or incorrect about that statement. And if you were to find out that there's anything incorrect about that statement, there's no way that nothing would go wrong ever. But anyway, cut to, 15, 16 years later, and Jon Con has been raising this young boy over here, young Griff, because remember, in Essos, Jon Con can't be Jon Con, because that's a Westerosi name, so he goes by the name Griff, because remember, Griffin's Roost, that was where he was from, he's creative. But then his son goes by Young Griff, because also creative. So he's been training up his son, with the help of this, motley crew that they're all, traveling with. They have a Septa, who, teaches him all about the religion of Westeros. Weird that, we're doing this in Essos, but it's fine. We have a Westerosi knight, or maybe a partial knight, we're not entirely sure, who is, again, training him in, all of the, Master of Arms things, how do you do the swords and all that. We have a half-maester, who trained as a maester but didn't, quite finish, teaching him all about philosophy and history and, the role of government, and they're raising this random kid who's totally not, it's fine. Because remember, they're trying to, they think he's Aegon Targaryen, and he, maybe he is. I know people are going to get upset in my comments when I'm acting like he isn't. But, they're raising him in secret. But so, when, Tyrion eventually, meets this group, and, all these people that are training this one child, he's like, huh, this is interesting. But anyway, so they travel with Tyrion for a while. Tyrion, quickly figures out who this kid is, or at least who they all think he is. They think that he is Rhaegar's son, Aegon Targaryen, and he realizes, oh, you are trying to marry him off to Daenerys, and then you were going to send that power couple back to Westeros like a literal Targaryen firebomb. But then Tyrion does some, whoopsie-doos, and he convinces, Aegon that he doesn't need Daenerys or her dragons. Sure, you don't need dragons, kid, it's fine. Tyrion, yeah, it's fine. But he convinces him, no, just go on your own. Win the country for yourself, and then when she shows up, you can, be equals, and that'll be so much better. And the teenage boy is of course. And Jon Con is why are we... Okay, fine, I'll listen, because you're Rhaegar's son, and I love him, and I love you. But whoops, in the middle of that little journey with Tyrion, we have the episode where all of the grayscale men, they jump on the boat, because in the books that isn't Jorah. Jorah is off doing other brothel-y things. But no, it's this group that gets attacked by the stone men. But Tyrion gets saved, don't worry. But then, oh no, you find out that Jon Connington got touched, and so Jon Connington is the one that is now slowly getting grayscale. So when Tyrion disappears and Aegon's we're not waiting for Daenerys, we're just going to head out to Westeros, so let's go meet up with the Golden Company. And Jon Connington's yeah, fine, we'll go meet up with the Golden Company, and I don't have grayscale, no one knows I have grayscale, I'm hiding this, don't worry about it. But they meet up with the Golden Company, and the Golden Company is hey, so we've never broken a contract, not once in our entire lives, but, and we were founded by anti-Targaryen, we hate Targaryen Blackfires, but you know what, because we like you, kid, and because this has been, our secret plan for a while, we are going to join Jon Connington and you, and we're going to invade Westeros for you and break our current contract. It's weird. It's weird that they want to do that for this random Targaryen kid when they hate Targaryens, but it would make a lot more sense if he was a Blackfire, but I'm not saying he's a Blackfire. Anyway, Jon Con is living his best life now, because, yes, is this, kind of the roundabout way that he wanted to get things done? Sure, but he's heading back to Westeros. He's heading back to Westeros with Rhaegar's son, and he's about to put him on the throne. And, does grayscale make you slowly go crazy and, lose your mind? Sure, but he's not going to let that ruin his time, okay? So they arrive in Westeros, and they start, sneakily capturing castle after castle after castle, and Aegon over here is Jon Con, Daddy-o, Step-Daddy-o, you're the bestest, I'm naming you Hand of the King, and we're going to take King's Landing. Jon Conn's like, it's all a dream come true. The grayscale isn't getting out of hand. Don't worry about it. It's fine. It's not going to drive me crazy. And as I do every time I talk about Jon Connington, I just want to remind you all that where we leave them in the books, you know, this poor, sad gay man who just wants to make up for all the failures he's had, he is now marching towards King's Landing with this guy, Aegon Targaryen, and they're going to take the city. And hey, it's weird when you think about the end of the TV show and how like that whole thing with the bells and Daenerys felt so weird, because it's almost like in the TV show, someone heard the sound of bells and then was triggered to burn down a whole city. Huh. Meanwhile, in the books, we leave off with an army heading towards King's Landing, and it's being led by a man who is slowly losing his mind because of grayscale, and who has a well-known trigger in the sound of bells. And hey, remember when you failed the last time you heard the sound of bells? Well, don't forget the one piece of advice from your like old officer buddy where he said, hey, the only way you could have won that battle is if you had burned the entire place to the ground with everyone in it. Okay, so the guy who thinks that burning everything to the ground with everyone in it and is triggered by the sound of bells is heading towards the city where that's I fucking hate those showrunners. I hate them with every fiber of my being because they cut this shit out and they gave it to my girl. It's fine. I'm fine. I'm over it. I'm totally over it. Can you tell? Anyway, Jon Conn's gay, and I made this video very long because I didn't want to have to like edit myself. And he's really gay, and he's just trying to do his best, and he just keeps failing. And that's what's so tragic about Jon Conn is he is a person that repeatedly fails, which makes sense because he is in love with Rhaegar Targaryen, another person who repeatedly fails. Yikes! It's almost like you guys were really actually meant for each other. Jon Connington trying to make up for the failures of his past is what is going to lead to very huge failures in his future when he realizes that, hey, maybe the kid that I'm serving, that I've devoted my life to after I lost my Silver Prince, isn't who I think it is, and everything is going wrong. Anyway. It's a lot. It's all a lot. And yeah, no, Jon Conn, we love you. You're great. And yeah, let me know. Who else do you want me to talk about who's gay? Who? Tell me in the comments. Y'all are cool. I hope you have a great day. And yeah, good night.